number.
A 900 number? It's a 900 number.
Oh, God. Let's not go there. You're going to be on camera.
Nobody remembers.
Okay, never mind. Yeah.
Sometimes they were legit.
What's 5:30? All right. let's,
You are live.
All right, let's call the meeting to order. Do we have any updates to the agenda? No? Okay. Any public comment?
No public here.
All right, well, here we are. Town plan, Allison.
Okay. We talked a little bit about the regional future land use map. And it's part of meeting the requirements of Act 181. And Act 181 is a pretty substantial overhaul to Act 250. So at the core of this mapping process is to identify areas that can receive greater density that might be eligible for Act 250 exemptions, and then all the other areas. And so all of we're required to use 10 land use categories, and all of the regional planning commissions need to map their lands the same way. The advantage here is that if you have dense areas that have or are eligible for place like village center designation, then you may also be eligible to receive exemptions for Act 250 in the future. The maps were drawn up with the goal of meeting the overall planning goals of Vermont statute. And as you probably know, every time you adopt a plan, there are required elements in your plan, and then there are statewide planning goals that you consider. So this isn't something that would be different or is not changing land use goals. The other thing is that a required element in all local and duly adopted plans, since as long as I can remember, has been to have a land use, a current and prospective land use map. And towns have gone about this different ways, but hopefully this provides some information that could help you update when you update your land use maps for your town plan.
So
that's
I saw that thing that you sent us as far as Essex County, and it was all one color.
yeah, I don't think that I sent the right attachment.
That's why
There
I'm
was
a
no
little
attachment.
confused
It was
here
just a
because-
link, and it was the link back to the homepage for that stuff, Allison.
Okay.
It was not. There was no file attached.
Oh, okay. Because I was wondering how Essex County was going to be affected by this.
No.
This new regional map.
So this is what we came up with. Remember Liam, who came to the last or second to last planning commission meeting? So first of all, something to keep in mind, this is not a zoning map. This is a map that shows where your densities are, where you intend to encourage higher densities, where you intend to encourage more development, such as in your village center, the areas that are zoned for higher density and that are served by water and sewer, and then the outer lands. So if we start here with the pink, this is your existing village, designated village center. Started with that. And because we have some opportunities to expand on those boundaries, those areas in the designated village center have always received certain benefits, like eligibility for tax credits for fit up for certain income producing properties, certain priority consideration for grant funds. And now add to that, potential eligibility for Act 250 exemption for, it's a partial exemption, 50 housing unit, up to 50 housing units on 10 acres of land. Looking at the way that you have zoned these areas that are also served by water and sewer and allow for greater density and in a robust mix of uses, we think that you can pass the straight face test and add these areas to your center of development. So, and this is a close-up of it here.
So you got here 2024 village centers and then village centers.
Right. So this what's in pink is what you have now.
That's right. Yeah.
That's your legacy
Right.
designation.
Yep.
Here, we think you can add.
Okay,
those.
all right. I
Okay,
just thought
yeah,
that were existing. I'm like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Okay, got it.
So then you have,
I can't quite see where you're talking about where you can add.
okay.
I think the dark pink,
The
Joel.
dark pink is what you can add.
Okay,
And it's weird because when you're sharing this, the colors look different, but it kind of looks like the legacy designation area looks kind of peachy.
Or white? White.
Yeah,
so maybe,
almost
yeah.
white.
okay, yep.
it's kind of pink
Oh.
on my screen anyway.
Yeah, and then the
I just took a
dark
picture
pink.
of your map when I was in the office.
Okay, okay. So then, those areas, you know, we started by mapping the existing designated village area, this area. And then we decided if it could be expanded to meet the statutory definition, and the statutory definition is, and this, is mixed-use centers bringing together community, economic activity, and civic assets. They include villages, new town centers, and village centers seeking benefits. They're the traditional, historic business and civic centers within planned growth areas, village areas, or may stand alone. They're not required to have public water, wastewater, zoning, or subdivision bylaw. But you have all but the subdivision.
So the only thing that I see changing here is the village centers here.
Pretty much, you could expand that designation area.
Yeah.
And expand the potential benefit.
But I don't see anything changing much here or here.
So these are transition areas. Want to make sure, yeah. These areas along Pleasant Street
Yeah,
for your reference, and they're showing up in bright yellow on your map. And on Railroad Street, you have some transition areas that also allow for a mix of uses and greater density. So, and for a certain degree of infill. So, we
So-
thought that
so you think that greater density would be more housing?
it could be one of the uses that could be encouraged there. It really, the transition area designation is more of like, it's a broad category that involves a broad range of uses. It could be like low density commercial development. It could be a combination of residential and commercial. It could allow for infill development. It can mean a lot of different things in different communities. But, so when Liam was, and I have to refer to our notes on this one. So they generally,
Residential right there.
yep, this is infill, this is transition infill areas. This is transition, and this is transition. This is an enterprise area. That would be on East Brighton Road.
That's
That's
where
out by
Sweet
Sweet
Tree
Tree.
is.
Yes.
And the
Yes.
This
airport.
Sweet Tree area.
Yes.
See, what,
So-
what really hurts us in some of these areas here is the government owns the land. I mean, Conti has taken over a lot of this here.
Mhm.
A lot of this is owned by them now.
Which is where, Richard,
Huh?
what's that? Richard,
Right here. This
Okay.
is, this is Henshaw Road.
yeah,
I
Okay.
live, let's see. No, this is Henshaw Road. So I live right around in here. Richard is up in
Okay.
here.
so what's this yellow here?
That yellow is just rural general. So
Okay.
there are three categories of rural lands, and the rural lands are, in theory, like this is done on a transect concept. So you start with the densest areas and then you radiate out, right? So the areas surrounding the centers of development would include like rural general, which is generally just like your typical low density. I'm sorry, I'm looking at
Yeah, that,
I'm sorry, that is rural general. And around here, they typically follow roadways. It's low density development. It could be traditional rural businesses, like contractor yards.
But could,
and
could housing be possible in that?
housing is
Yes.
possible there.
Yeah.
Yes, it's
Okay.
just, it's
think
just,
the
it's lower.
the only
density
thing that
development.
these areas here in dark pink now, which is new, these village centers, that means that we have to change some of our zoning bylaws for those areas.
Only if you want to get partial exemption for Act 250.
Right.
You would
Yeah.
add if you were to get subdivision regs, you could apply for what they call Tier 1B status and get partial exemption for Act 250 development for up to 50 housing units. on any
Only
individual-
those purple areas.
The pink and the purple area.
Yeah.
Okay.
Combined, yeah.
So nothing like here.
No,
But I mean, that's significant. I mean, to achieve Act 250 exemption.
Well, over here?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can find space for 50 housing units.
Yeah.
Up to.
Well, right,
Yeah.
up to, but.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, I just
Mhm.
talked to.
I mean, I could see 50 housing units going out of town here on,
right, and that's what I'm saying here, right here.
And it's
Yes.
not necessarily, you're probably thinking of like single family homes. I'm talking like dwelling unit.
Right.
that's right.
Yeah.
No, I understand that.
So,
Because in these areas right now, it's very rural as far as fields.
mhm,
And I mean, it could be developed into some nice housing areas,
yeah,
but they're privately owned.
right.
I mean,
So the predominant land use in our entire region is this teal green area. On your map, it has the words in white, not a zoning map, and that's rural ag forestry. So, and basically you're talking like contiguous coverage, forest coverage.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean,
it's-
and this is my opinion now.
Yeah,
But from Henshaw Road up through in this area, I could see development happening up there,
uh-huh,
but it's owned by less than 6 people. And they own it all. And then after that, the Conti,
mhm,
the government. So, I mean, if we were to expand, let's say in housing,
mhm,
multi-unit buildings, I
mhm.
mean, I could see it happening in these areas in here, but you'd have to approach people to sell off their land.
Well, not unless they wanted to do it themselves.
Right.
Right.
Well, one thing that you might want to look at are some of
Mhm.
these transition areas that are adjoining the village
Yeah.
area and see if, there's some, if your zoning could be changed to make it part of the village center. I'm not quite sure how that would work, but the other thing that you could do is, if you were to adopt subdivision regulations, one of the reasons we didn't have designate like a planned growth area. Planned growth areas require subdivision regs. So if you had an area that was served by water and sewer, and you had zoning and subdivision regs, then we might be able to revisit some of these transition infill areas and then determine if they could become planned growth areas or village areas. And those could receive a neighborhood designation, which could also
And
qualify
I could see
for.
that happening in the next 50 years where in order for growth to happen, those areas are going to have to be part of the village area.
So it might make a lot of sense for us to look very closely then at subdivision regulations. If we wanted to allow for planned growth or village areas adjacent to the village, because then you could extend those same, you would have what they would call a neighborhood designation. And there's also a potential for benefits,
Yeah.
for tax credits.
Yeah.
And I think it is also it would also be that potential for the tier 1B exemption. So,
So, I'm sorry.
no, go ahead.
I know that we're planning for the future, but I think our immediate concern should be focused on the village area and taking advantage of any new growth we can put in there in terms of dwelling units. I think that's where our emphasis should be, because that's where we can most easily hook them onto water and sewer. And, I don't know that I know we have a housing shortage, but it's not like people are going to be pounding down the door for new land, but
Let me ask you one quick question. Some communities that I'm familiar with, these areas in pink right now, because of the Main Street situation where Main Street's USA has gone down the toilet and they're trying to get it back and revitalized. They're considered by state and federal as depressed areas and they get tax exemptions.
That's the same thing that you're getting.
Okay, so we are doing that.
You can, for
So,
an
so in
owner,
other words, this is a depressed area here because it's no,
it's not necessarily a depressed area. The downtown and village center program
yeah,
has been in existence for decades to try to redirect reinvestment in
That's right.
historic areas where people maybe are less inclined
yeah.
to do
So these areas, these tax assessments are usually less.
They're not based on tax assessments. It's
No.
owners of income producing properties who want to invest
Yeah.
in those can
No, I
can
understand,
apply for that, but then they could put that money back. There are tax incentives.
right, but I do
Right.
see some
Tax credit, Mark.
communities, some communities do give you a lesser tax rate for these areas. I know this for a fact.
It might be, and it depends on the conditions of the community, but it has
Right.
nothing to do with the village center designation.
Okay. So I just wondering.
Yeah,
that'd be a tax stabilization thing you're talking about. The town could agree to lower the tax rate on an industry or somebody coming in for a certain period of time.
Yes, that is correct. Yeah,
so there is a new, it's kind of like a TIF program. And it's unfolding as we speak. And it's called the Vermont Community Housing Investment Program, CHIP.
yep,
But again, that's kind of like a TIF program so that you could be able to put, the tax increases or the property tax increases from new investments back into your district. The guidelines for that are still unfolding.
yeah,
It's brand new. So.
Yeah.
But it's a statewide TIF program.
okay.
So, but yeah, I think what we really need to do is look at some of these transition infill areas. And they do have a potential for becoming neighborhoods, either planned growth areas or village areas. And while I understand your concern, Joel, is that you want to make sure that everybody puts all of their focuses their investment first into the village center, into the core. I mean, there's a certain amount of investment that in the surrounding areas that also might make investment in the village core more desirable at the same time.
Yep.
I think there's a way of
So
doing
if you've got
both.
more people building and living in this area, then
Then they're gonna
you're
need more
going to
amenities.
grow. And you're gonna need a restaurant, you're gonna
Yeah.
need this
Yeah.
in the village center, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes perfect sense.
And maybe more school, I think,
Yeah.
more support for
hopefully-
the school.
Yeah,
Mhm.
we'll see how
So,
that pans
Yeah.
out.
so, that it's just something to consider. I don't know if it makes sense to consider everything on this map as a transition area, as a potential planned growth area or a village area. But I think it does make sense to look at areas like parts of Railroad Street and Pleasant Street and this area just south of Derby Street
Yeah, this,
as neighborhood adjuncts
yeah,
to your village area. And with, the adoption of subdivision regs, you could benefit from this.
what kills us is a lumberyard and the cemeteries,
Cemeteries.
prime land, prime
Oh,
land.
yeah.
It's always cemeteries, always.
Well, but the areas here that do allow for additional infill development, I think we should look at them. So, even if it's on a, if it's smaller, where's the cemetery?
All along here
All along there.
and all along
First part of
here.
Pleasant Street.
What about here?
It's Cemetery Street.
But what about here?
It's that lighter area
This
on the
here?
map.
No, right here.
That's
right.
Birch.
And what about here on Railroad Street?
I'm liking this
Well,
right here.
We're kind of, in this area, we're kind of,
Flood zone.
that's a flood zone.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna be able to get insurance.
So we excluded areas that were in the SFH, in the special flood hazard area when we
But
mapped.
As far as I'm concerned, this is all flood hazard area now.
The thing is,
Why-
it's not,
this
I
is
don't
why I
believe
like this
according to
area.
FEMA maps, I don't
Actually-
think Railroad Street is actually
I think
considered.
this,
Really?
No.
Not
I
the
don't
street
believe
itself.
so.
they just
There's
get,
only a few properties in town that actually have a flood designation on them. There's not many.
So we excluded areas that were in the special flood hazard area on the FEMA maps, and we also excluded the river corridors.
Yeah.
From the,
Yeah, because I
Some
can
of the
see,
more
I can
dense
see that. here.
yeah.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, some of these areas where you see like dark green, like narrow strips, those are probably just river corridors.
Oh, yeah.
And so those ended up as rural conservation land.
okay, so that's what this,
That's it. If it's really close to the village, it's probably a flood hazard area.
okay, so there you are.
That's why it's dark green.
So like you said, who's gonna build there?
Nobody.
No, but I'm just talking about in those orange areas
right here.
along Railroad Street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to put those down.
That's a lot of single family homes right now that are from the 30s.
That's why I'm liking this area. There's some property there that would make
Hmm.
some nice homes
Yeah.
where, I mean, you could build, how many homes could they build in?
This is,
20, 30?
what's along here? Because this
I
is.
mean,
an
if you went
enterprise
back-
area.
2-acre lots. You'd probably have 10.
10, but you could do multi.
Yeah,
So, but what's this? And this is an enterprise.
that's all the
expansion?
lumberyard. That's where all the railroad.
Can I make marks on this?
Yeah.
You want a pen?
Just grab my pen. I just.
This is, all this prime area of the lake is all lumberyard.
Yeah. So is enterprise.
Yeah.
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 And I just want to make sure that I have this
Yes.
is Sweet Tree.
That's basically Sweet Tree.
And over here,
Not all of it, but
Right,
some, yeah,
right,
a
right.
good share of it.
yeah. So this area here is zoned for what?
The pink,
Oh.
the
It's just field right now.
The
That's gonna be the
orange?
wastewater treatment plant.
It's on the
NEK
map.
No.
plan.
It's on the
No,
map behind
No,
you.
we're
No, no.
talking about the
105.
transition area.
On 105.
The transition area on 105 that's in between Sweet Tree
That-
and
that's-
the
yeah,
lumberyard.
That's near Back Pond from Back Pond on Railroad, this is Lake Street right here.
That's gonna include Morris's campground.
Yeah.
That's right here.
That's,
that- no,
this
that's
is,
right,
But-
right
I'm
here.
pretty
Morris's
Pretty
Camp.
Well,
sure
yeah.
that's neighborhood residential.
so this weird color right there,
That's
that's
campground.
the campground because
Oh, yes,
that's considered a recreation resource area.
that's all campground, even
Across
up
from that
over
is
here.
gonna be the pit that,
It's all this light green is
Byron
all
used to own.
campground.
Yep, yep.
Whiting's Trucking.
Whiting's
here.
Trucking is right here.
Track, okay. So that's rural general.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but what's right in, here?
Sweet Tree is right here.
Yeah,
This is just, that's Richard, right?
Well, see, this is Henshaw Road here, so I'm right here.
Mhm.
Richard is right
Yeah,
here.
so I'm talking this right here.
is
Yeah.
this primarily residential?
It's not,
It's got his
it's,
garage there.
it's
It's mixed.
light commercial.
Okay.
It's mixed.
What's the underlying zoning district?
That's rural on our map.
It's rural. Okay, rural one.
Yeah,
And you said this is the cemetery right there?
oh, yeah.
So that's- And then there's,
Cemetery is all along here after Cottage Road that goes this way. So this is all cemetery. This coming up the hill is all cemetery.
In here on both sides,
No,
no,
no. that's
Just
re-
that
That's
side.
residential there.
residential.
Yeah. All in there. That whole orange area is
This is
residential.
mostly, would you describe this area as single family homes?
yes.
Yes. This is all single family along here. Little
is
bit of
this over here?
little bit of
That's it.
cemetery right here.
In the rural general lands there?
Yeah,
So the cemetery kind of goes along like this?
Well, it's different cemeteries.
yeah.
Different,
You got the Russian one, the Catholic one, the town one,
which one is the, okay, so there's the cemetery
The
here.
Catholic one is down here somewhere.
this is,
then there's a-
all along here is cemetery. Believe it or
All
not.
along there?
The Catholic
Yeah.
cemetery is just the first little section as you're going out of town. The rest of it's all public.
Yeah. This is the point. This is Blueberry Point.
Yep.
That's Blueberry
That's
Point.
right.
That's
Yep, so
residential.
Yep.
This is all, these are all camps. These are all people's camps all
Yep.
along here.
Camps.
All camps.
Is
Some
it worthy to
seasonal-
note that the sewer stops partway out Pleasant
Yeah.
Street?
Yeah, the sewer line stops right around here.
I think about where the purple stops on the map, Joel, I think is where they have it, because I think that's about,
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, so sewer stops right
that's
here.
Bellevue, and that's.
Okay.
Is
sewer
that,
goes
that-
just beyond
that's the
Bellevue.
road that goes up to,
Yeah.
what's his name?
Gale,
Goes up the hill there,
Oh,
Cargill?
you know. like-
yeah, the Cahill Farm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
is
okay,
this,
Cahill Farm.
is right at this line?
Yes. That's a dead end road,
Okay.
Yeah.
What's,
but it's serviced by water.
it has water? Okay.
Yes.
And everything around the lake has water.
All water.
Yeah.
Not this, not here. This is the old Route 105, which has water around Back Pond.
Okay,
This side of Route 105 has no town water or sewer.
this is probably the line of demarcation, right?
Yeah. And all of this, all the way around the lake, all the way up to here
Mhm.
is water only.
Okay,
State Beach is right here.
Mhm.
No, I take that back. State Beach is right here.
looks like there's some dense development in here,
Yes, that's all fields. Some of it's fields.
but I'm seeing houses, I'm seeing structures through there.
Yes.
And so what's on there?
There's a old decapitated house and.
Town water and sewer stop right here.
Uh-huh,
But then it's all, there are residential homes.
there's no water here?
No,
No water, no sewer. all the way to 114. There's no water, no sewer, but this is all one big home.
Mhm.
All this area here is all one
Okay.
home,
So, but these are mostly homes that are,
single family homes,
that some of them are in need of
Mhm.
repairs.
repair.
Or being built.
Here on Railroad Street.
So
Mhm.
that's, we're here now, you kind of, this is where the railroad tracks go along
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
So you don't have much footage between some of the backs of these homes to the tracks,
Mhm.
50 feet maybe.
No,
Some
But are they,
less than that.
are they?
Some
are they
of them
single
less than
family
that,
homes?
Yeah.
absolutely.
What are they,
Single family homes, all single
Yeah,
family,
they're all
is
single,
all single family?
except for the beehive. but
except for
that's
the
okay.
beehive, but
Right.
that's up in this area, in the
That's
pink,
there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
in this area.
And
And-
there's one that's down. Um,
This is all single family. There used to be a store here, but now it's just a warehouse.
But it's zoned to allow a mix of uses.
That is
so-
Yeah, that's
correct.
right.
Mhm.
On the old store, next to the old feed store, there's 2 vacant lots there because it's the houses that burnt down.
That's
Yeah,
true.
yeah, empty lots now.
Jim Kenny's house has got an apartment in it.
So there's some multi-unit.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. The one right before the bridge is also multi-unit.
You know,
Because this is where the treatment plant is.
Mhm.
And then from here down, I wonder how far the sewer goes down that road. I forget now.
Department.
what's that?
I should know that. After Middle Street, south, going north.
It only goes as far as Clark Street, don't it?
I think you're right.
I know over on the, well, where my sister used to live, that's not, there's no sewer there.
'Cause this is Middle Street right here that goes to the treatment plant. That's the Middle Street right there.
Mhm.
So we have sewer that comes down here and goes up here.
Yeah, I think it only goes to Clark Street.
Yeah, the school's right here.
I'm not sure whether those two homes past the school are on the sewer or not.
I don't know, the school is,
The school is.
The school is.
but they have their
We
own
need a
pumping
map.
station. They have their own pumping station.
I don't know either whether they are or not.
But they would have a Railroad Street address, right?
Yes,
Hold
But-
on.
They're also in the dark green around here, and I'm wondering if they were included in dark green because there are flood hazards.
Middle Street floods here.
Yeah.
This floods.
Yeah.
All this floods here. Because you got a
I can
culvert,
see the stream.
you
Yeah.
have a culvert there.
Yeah.
It's too bad because this whole area here is open to development. One guy owns 96 acres here
Mhm.
and the rest of it is owned by the farm.
The farm?
How much does he own?
Rest of it.
I know it's quite a chunk.
Oh, yeah. Big chunk, all the way up to this point right here. 2 miles up Hinshaw Road. That's where it
Well,
stops.
that might be good for future.
Development.
It's gonna be a long future though, I think.
Well.
So, we've probably done it right here in this spot
Well, that's,
that backs up to the lumberyard.
yeah,
Yep, there's houses
there's
there.
houses, all houses
Mhm.
Yeah.
on,
Cause you got like Hillside Acre. No, this is like Current Avenue in here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, a mix of housing types?
There's low income housing
yeah,
up here somewhere. There's a house right here.
low income housing is right here.
Yeah,
Sewer stops at the school.
okay.
Yeah, it does, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
The 2 houses beyond it don't have sewer.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. So there's a mix of housing types in this orange area.
Yep.
Is what I'm
Mhm.
trying to- So there's multi-units, there's single family,
Yeah.
duplexes. and
I mean-
here as
Well,
well.
I mean, some of
That's
it,
just how-
some of this could be if a developer wanted to buy 2 or 3 houses, he could build a 50 unit right here.
So the other thing in the Home Act, if you're on an area that is served by water and sewer, then a small multi-unit, like up to 4 units, is treated as a permitted use as opposed to a conditional. So any of these areas that are served by both could, in theory, have some small multi-units without having to go through conditional use.
Because the state has changed some of the laws as far as how zoning is going to be treated and what's going to be allowed in some areas. And if somebody wants to build a rehab center over here next to all these camps, we can't stop that. And it could be
There-
2 and 3 stories tall, and we can't stop it.
It depends if it's like a group home.
Yeah,
For
that's right.
people, that's been in place, or that's actually a federal protection.
Yeah, but
But-
didn't the state just adopt some stuff here just recently in the last year?
In
I
the
read-
Home Act,
Yeah, it
Um,
was in the Home Act.
duplexes are treated the same as single family homes.
Yeah.
So basically, you cannot have zoning that is exclusively for
Yeah,
single.
we
family
have to
homes.
change our zoning and some,
Right.
because of some of these changes.
But
we-
so for just like a duplex, but not,
But you,
not a,
as far as I recall from
Oh,
your
if
zoning.
if they want to put a group home here around the lake or a rehab center around the lake, we can't stop them.
I think your zoning bylaw already has that protection in place, and
No,
that
we-
was from
we
two
don't have-
thousand
we-
four.
Some of our zoning, Mike, some of our zoning, we have to change to meet these new
If-
categories.
If you read the zoning revisions that I've sent out, the multi-unit housing as a permitted use is part of that. I've made a lot of the changes that I think the law requires. As far as
Yeah.
group homes, we're-
You've protected that for a long time.
it's in our zoning, yeah.
Yeah, so the other thing is that I don't recall seeing any districts where you allowed for single family homes, but not duplexes.
Right.
So that's.
Right. We never
it-
have had any, it's always been single and double for every place we've allowed one is the other.
Yeah, so that you don't really have to change your zoning for that. I think the only area where you would have to, as you pointed out, is for small multi-units that are served by water and sewer. Then they're
Correct.
they're not treated as a conditional use anymore. They're treated as a permitted use. They're still subjected to site plan review,
Correct.
so.
Did we change our zoning for that?
We haven't changed it yet, but that's in the proposed revisions that we've been talking about for a
Yeah.
while now.
Yeah, correct.
Mhm.
So that's one of the things we have to change to meet the law.
So,
well, to avoid the law.
so anyways, this is what I don't think that what we're depicting here is any departure from the
No,
development
no.
patterns that you already have.
Right.
It's trying to identify areas for opportunity where you might want to encourage more, particularly housing opportunities. There you do have, because, if you were to expand on your downtown or your village center designation and establish a downtown program, you could pursue what they call, used to call downtown designation, and then achieve full Act 250 exemption in your center.
Now, I've seen some communities where they have a 1 mile radius for downtown designation. Some go up to 2 and 3 miles. I mean, some communities are their downtown area. Well, it's St. Johnsbury, look how big that downtown area is. that's gotta be at least a mile and a half by a mile and a half.
Because it comprises
So
Eastern Railroad and Main.
ours is probably half mile by half mile.
Mhm.
So should we consider a bigger downtown designation?
Well, you are getting
Yeah.
downtown designation
but-
here. You're more than doubling
We're
it,
doubling it. Okay,
but, what I'm saying is, you would also have an opportunity to achieve full Act 250 exemption for that center designation area. It's a bigger reach.
Yeah.
You would have to support a downtown revitalization program.
I'll tell
kind
you-
of like what St. Johnsbury, Hardwick and Newport do.
I think this somewhat depends on just how much we can accomplish. You know, on the scale of things, the likelihood that we're gonna have an Act 250 problem in this area, I think is relatively low. But it would be nice to have an exemption, and if we can manage it, I'm fine, but I'm just letting you know that I think we've got our hands full just.
We did try to
we don't-
pursue it before they kind of axed the program last year. We were submitting an application to do that because Annie McLean had been
Yeah.
after me for us to do that. And I mean, our concern is always the same, that we need that we have a downtown organization that could do that, but we don't have any volunteers to actually do the work.
Yeah, right.
And that's the problem we run into. It's like, okay, well, we have the forum that does exist. It could serve that role, but we need people.
Right.
It's kind
So
of
they
that
need to be
that kind of
active.
thing. If we brought in more housing, maybe we could bring in more people would volunteer, but it's kind of like, oh, but which one do you put first?
So it seems to me like a realistic medium-term goal or short-term goal would be to achieve the tier 1B with the partial exemption. But your community also benefits by having a strong downtown organization that has a full stable of volunteers to
Right,
promote
right.
downtown revitalization. So it makes sense to keep that long-range goal in your plan.
Oh,
I
it is.
think.
What I will say, the other issue I see in a place like Island Pond is the fact that downtown organization then has to have, design. You have to have a design district at that point.
Yeah,
And that becomes sticky in small towns, that you're going to tell me what I can and can't do with my property. Whether we're really going to be that stringent or not, it's the perception. And so if NVDA wants to help small towns figure it out, we need that messaging. How do we get across that it's not where we're going to tell you can't do anything with your property?
Right.
But that's the message that comes out from those kinds of things. It's, and I think in a small town like Island Pond, that'll be very hard to sell.
so politically, I think it was too difficult to lift for Newport City. And so they met that requirement by they will continue to meet that requirement because they adopted form-based code for their
Right.
core. And to me, that's a little less about, aesthetic regs and more about function. But, so that's something to consider. That's not the only way you can meet that requirement through like design control. You could do it through form-based code as well.
so if we were to go with this plan that that you're showing us tonight and made our downtown designation bigger, and some of the areas are changing in color a little bit, does that mean that we have to conform our zoning to this plan?
No, because we already drew these areas up based on what the underlying zoning was.
Okay.
Oh, okay,
So,
okay,
Joel is right. You do have some fixes to make to your zoning,
right.
because of other statutory reform. But, really the only thing that you would have to do here, if you wanted to maximize the benefit from this, is to adopt subdivision regs.
Do you have a town that do you have model, do you think the League of Cities and Towns maybe has model subdivision regs that we could take a look at? Because we have something called subdivision regs in our zoning, but I guess it
But they're
doesn't
not,
quite.
yeah, yeah, but they're not. So we're just, as a matter of fact, I just handed off an edit for, enabling better places. The, one of the Vermont planning modules was just expanded to include, I hate to use the word template language, but sample language for subdivision regulations. Things that you could consider. When you are talking about, larger developments in and adjacent to centers of development, you do want to think about like connecting streets and walkability, and how it connects to your major roadways and what it's doing to the traffic there. So, a lot of the subdivision regs that are sample subdivision regs that are kind of floating out there are more focused on suburban type development in rural general areas. And in that context, it probably wouldn't help you for the downtown
Right.
area. But there are some things in that module that would be worthwhile looking at. For
But
sure.
it would pertain if we are talking about the development in the other yellowish areas there, right? That would
If
pertain.
you were, if you wanted to, like, yes, because then you could think of them more as like neighborhood areas.
Right.
Depending on, you know, like where you actually wanted to encourage more, more dense residential development that complements the village core. So then you would want to look at, you know, like street orientation, where the connecting roads are, if it's multiple, you know, multiple structures that, or you're creating a new private road to serve that development.
Well, and the other thing that we should be looking at is, you know, this would kind of give us a way to start thinking about, okay, if we need to expand the sewer. I mean, right now we only have 400 and some odd sewer users. Some point that sewer system is probably going to need to expand at least a little bit to make it feasible financially. Where could we put an easy connection to that sewer line where we could encourage development? Where that I mean, you know, it's futures planning.
So, but by expanding, you mean growing new customers,
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, we do
not
need new.
growing the service area. Yeah, yeah.
Right, but I
That's-
mean, the thing is, we may need to. I mean, if a new neighborhood went at the end of the line, okay,
Yeah.
well, you make the developer of that, you know, 10-unit housing, they put in the sewer, connect to our current sewer. You picked up 10 extra users with little town investment.
And that's where that new chip program might come in handy as well.
Yeah.
It might be a win-win for the developer and for you. So yeah,
So just something to think about, would think was something like this program that we're doing here, would that help us getting grants? Like for putting a sidewalk that would go completely around the lake? We've got this beautiful jewel here. And other towns and cities and Winooski and Montpelier, and not Montpelier, but Burlington, they got these walkways where people can walk. We have no sidewalk around the lake at all.
Well, I think,
Is that something?
we kind of tried that, but nobody wanted to give up any of their frontage.
Well, I mean,
If
that's
you
what
want an-
eminent,
if you want an
that's where the town
impossible
and eminent
task,
domain
there
come
is-
in.
If you
Yeah.
want an impossible task, that's it right there.
Yeah,
I mean,
what about some of your sidewalk infrastructure and some of those transition infill areas? Are there areas that are not walkable that you need additional investments in sidewalks and?
oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
I could see talking to the lumberyard and giving us a right to put a sidewalk all the way around that part of the lake, right to Lake Street. I mean, anything's possible. I mean, you know, eminent domain can do a lot of things.
Yeah.
I mean, but we're not, I don't see us really working towards that goal of trying to utilize the lake here for pedestrian or bicycle traffic or anything like that. And that's a big draw today.
Right.
And I don't see us utilizing that. I mean, it's too bad that
What I can tell you, the issue with it is the majority of the land around the lake is privately owned. The town doesn't own that, so we don't.
I
we can't just
realize
put
that.
a path on somebody's land. I mean, it's, there's a cost. We have to buy it because we don't own it.
Lakefront property. We
Right.
have to buy lakefront property and ruin people's front yards and the lake front yards to the lake. So
They do it everywhere else, Joel.
no,
They build sidewalks where you
I'm not
never thought
saying-
a sidewalk would go.
I'm not saying they don't do it. I'm just saying there's plenty of other stuff we need to do before we invest money like that to try and get. I mean, it's just, we went as far as we could with the lakeshore path on the land we own. It's just, it's work. I mean, it's work and money to get that done, to do something like that. We tried to put a sidewalk out Pleasant Street and the people fought us.
Really?
Yeah. And then the one to the school. Remember the school
Yeah.
one? And
Was it, why
Like
did
that.
they find it? Was it over cost or?
It
They
was,
wanna lose their
it was,
land.
we'd have to lose, they'd lose their flower beds. Was one of the issues, and we volunteered to move the flower beds for them. We would the town would transition and move the flower beds back. But the people on Pleasant Street did not want a sidewalk on the lake side of Pleasant Street. They just didn't want it. They voted it down. We had a grant for it.
we had a grant for the school one. I think our portion was $75,000 and they voted it down.
You're kidding.
Right.
That's cheap.
Well, it was many years ago,
Do it
but
now.
it was.
Well, that
it
way-
was-
that-
it
that was-
voted down.
And then we were only going to go as far as the feed store, and that's when we found out that a sidewalk to the feed store was like $400,000 at that time.
Right.
And we decided that it's easier for the town to contract, it's cheaper for the town to just contract on its own and build the damn sidewalk than to try and get grants for it. It just the requirements that they put in it for building construction are so severe that it costs so much money just to go to the feed store. So we abandoned that. I was not, actually, I voted against that project myself after getting the grant money. Because it wasn't what was originally intended. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't have one, but there was also an argument as to whether a sidewalk was appropriate to the school. Because if you have right now, people use that wide shoulder to bike and to walk. And if you had a sidewalk there, that would conflict. So you'd basically, somebody would fall off the
Doesn't
curb.
stop them in Burlington. They use it for both.
Mm-hmm. Well,
But that,
They don't have a separate bike lane with a walking lane. They share it.
right.
I
Well,
think there should be a sidewalk at least to Meadow Street, but I think if we ever do it, we would do it ourselves rather than get a grant involved. That was a conclusion we came to a while ago. Anyway, sorry.
Okay, well, no, it's an important thing to consider because pedestrian infrastructure is also gonna factor into if you're designating neighborhoods. So if there is infrastructure that's missing that you want to prioritize and identify it in the plan, now is the time to do it.
Mountain Street and South Street. Mountain Street sidewalk goes way out there, but it's desperately in need of.
It's too rough and too hard to walk on.
And it's
Both
unsafe because it's very high off the ground with no kind of a
Yeah.
guardrail on it.
In some places, yeah.
Yeah,
So it
And,
needs a major overhaul and repair.
Yeah.
yeah.
And so that was Mountain Street, and what was the other one?
South Street.
South.
South Street has a sidewalk that we don't want people to use right now, but there should be a sidewalk there. There's a problem area where it drops off like 10 feet and there's no guardrail, and so it's kind of overgrown, and that's okay. But it shouldn't be that way. It should be
South
fixed.
Street's another area though where there's a good chunk of land next to John Manning there, where there were two. There was the big Victorian was there, and the other house that was down below it. And those are just vacant lots now because the houses are gone, and so that is another development opportunity down through there. Because it's a pretty good sized lot between the two of them.
There's a good sized lot down Kern Avenue on that,
We own a 50,
Boylan used to own,
I says the town owns a 50-foot right of way.
Where
across from where Larry Ming used to live.
you're gonna end up in people's living room.
That's a good sized field there. They could put a couple houses in there.
Wider than that,
What-
65, 67 feet.
What would be nice for pedestrian is if we had a route. You know, that people wouldn't have to backtrack, you know, if we could figure out. I mean, when we put the lakeside path in, we wanted to bring it all the way out to the end and then bring it back on the parking lot, but we couldn't figure out how to get up the hillside without having with a 12-to-1 slope. But the idea was, you know, people that wouldn't walk all the way out and have to walk back on the same path. They'd walk a circuit. So if we could figure out a walking circuit, it would be nice.
I'll
So
talk
we
to-
do have that downtown housing tour at some point. We do like a reconnaissance tour to identify the areas where we want to prioritize on infill and redevelopment. But I think we also want to keep in mind areas that need investment in pedestrian infrastructure. So this is really helpful.
Yeah. Well, we know the downtown, you know, the main corridor down Cross Street needs it, but that's already on
Yeah.
part of the downtown project.
Yes. So
But
this is
Everything
like
around
phase
that is
two.
not necessarily designed.
Yeah, this is, now we're thinking phase 2 and, you know, beyond here.
So as far as a sidewalk on Railroad Street, we always wanted one down to at least Meadow because it would keep people from parking on Railroad Street, because that's always been a problem. We have a sidewalk there, which is just a road shoulder basically, and people park their cars and then they're on the sidewalk. But if you had a sidewalk with a raised curb, they couldn't do that. So that was one of that was a thought that was popular for a while anyway.
You mean like with a green strip or something?
Pardon?
You mean like with a green strip, like a sidewalk with a green
No,
strip?
no, there's no room for a green strip. It's just it's the road shoulder is the sidewalk.
You would
And-
bring the sidewalk up
Oh, okay.
4
So if
inches.
you had
so
a
it
curved
wouldn't-
sidewalk, then cars couldn't park on the sidewalk.
Okay, got it.
They probably would anyway, because there's no other place for them to park
Because
sometimes, so.
The sidewalks,
Why are they parking there?
the sidewalks.
Not,
You bring it up 4 inches, they'd have a hard time climbing it.
Well, you know what
Why are they
it's
parking
supposed to happen is you're supposed to.
Pardon?
You're
I'm
supposed
sorry, I
to
didn't
shovel
hear
your
you.
front.
that's correct.
Because there's no other places to park.
Yeah, but why?
They live there.
There's housing down
There and
Railroad
there-
Street.
Houses are right tight to the sidewalks.
So they allow for on-street parking and I get it. Okay.
Actually,
We
it's a
don't
no
allow it,
parking,
but
it's a no parking zone, but they park anyway. It's not like there's a ton of cars there, but it's not unusual to find somebody's car parked on the sidewalk while they run into the home, and the car just sits there for half an hour or an hour or two.
Okay.
or
And they
overnight.
wouldn't be able,
There.
that wouldn't be possible if there was a raised sidewalk.
Funded.
I can.
And why aren't we ticketing them?
See it, is it? No.
Yeah.
Why aren't we ticketing? We
Yeah.
don't have anybody to issue the
People that
tickets.
use-
No, yeah,
Well, I
I'm sure
guess
that's
so.
beautiful.
We have to dig up that ordinance somewhere, but that's a question that I can't answer. Why aren't they being ticketed? It would be the sheriff who would have to do it.
Okay.
And I don't even know, I'd have to go look up. I don't even know if we have an ordinance against parking on Railroad Street.
Or no.
I don't know.
I don't know either. I know there's signs, that's all.
Yep.
Well, There used to be signs, I think they're all down there.
Enforcement.
Well, yeah, it's like anything.
I think most of them are gone.
Well, like anything else, you can pass all the stuff you want, but if you don't have enforcement, it means nothing. And that's part of the problem in this town is not enough enforcement for anything.
Well, that's any town. You know, I'm sorry, everybody wants like a hardcore policing, but then if you do hardcore policing, you have the whole town in uproar because then they get a ticket and then they don't like it.
We
It's
had,
like we could be hardcore enforcement, and then Mark Valancourt's driving down the street 5 miles over the speed limit, and he gets a ticket, and I have to hear from Mark about why is that police officer pulling me over? I was only going 5 miles over the speed limit. Well, you can't have it both ways. It's either hardcore Teddy Miller or it's somewhere in between, which is where we are, somewhere in between. Parking is probably not the priority for our sheriff's department.
They don't have time for
3
that.
hours a week we can afford for.
They don't have
if
time
it-
for it.
if the town wanted to adopt a civil ordinance and find somebody who would be the enforcer, then that could be done.
Or we have to
But-
pay that person, which is another
We'd have to
salary.
pay the person.
Oh, no, Mark would volunteer.
No, I wouldn't.
I do it for a cut.
Oh, yeah, for speech. There you go.
Do it for a cut? No cuts.
It doesn't work that way? No.
We got golf carts going through.
Percentage of your intake, huh?
I'd be totally
Yeah.
self-funded.
They're not.
I'd have that sidewalk paid for by the end of the year.
That's not on the
We went
streets.
down that route.
No
It didn't work
streets.
very well.
It's not
But
a
it's-
four
Kind of
wheeler.
ruined the
It's not
town.
golf
Still
cart.
hear about it after all
On the
of these
town
years.
roads, you're allowed.
No.
Yeah.
I talked to the sheriff about it. They're
Oh.
not.
All right.
So that's about what I had for today's.
No, that's true.
I was just hoping to get more input on that future land use map.
Four
I look at
wheelers,
it,
no
honestly,
problem.
I don't.
If the golf cart.
I like the
has-
expanded
has
areas. that we're
lights.
You
looking
can't
at. I think
register a
those
golf
are-
cart.
Yeah.
Those are good.
You can't insure a golf cart
Well,
for
'Cause I
public
have
street.
seen some land
Okay.
in the
That's the
expanded areas that I
catch-22.
think could be developed
I had one coming up right up Main Street.
Does
with
it
something
make
more,
sense?
something
street.
denser.
Does it,
For the
does it
campground.
make sense for me to come up
What's the matter with these people?
say like a little parcel map of the proposed downtown area and the adjacent area, and then just mark vacant areas that we might want to. That might, I mean, just for us to have, so that we can think about. Or, I mean, I might also be able to do that off the E911 database. Just come up with a parcel map and highlight the vacant lots.
Sure.
One thing is there's some lots that are large and there's a house on like one portion of it and then the rest of it just kind of sits as, woods. Would you be able
Yeah.
to talk those people into subdividing that off?
Yeah, so we could do this a couple of different ways. We could come up with a map that identify lots that are completely vacant. And then we could identify lots that only have maybe 50% building coverage, less than 50% building coverage.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think you're gonna have more of those. I don't think you're gonna have that many vacant lots. We don't have that many vacant lots in town. But we have
Okay.
a lot of lots that are, oversized for what's there. It's it's just how they subdivided off little pieces of their land, but then
Yeah.
didn't do the rest of it.
So
I can-
I'll
we can-
start.
I won't do it in a public meeting, but there is a couple I could send you that I did look at over the weekend when I was up there, and that I
Okay.
thought, I could see condos or townhouses or even an apartment building, something that would be denser than one house stuck on a 5-acre lot.
Yeah,
I saw some spaghetti on Derby. So 150 feet wide by 1,000 feet deep. House up by the road, empty.
The one thing to keep in mind when we talk about building development outside of the village center is if the town has to have an investment, like if we have to improve the road because of a development, that cost shouldn't bear, we should be careful about whether we're spending more money than we're making in growth benefits from broadening the tax base.
So,
At some
the
point, at some point,
developments that would, what kind of developments that
That would be
would
nice development.
require a road upgrade?
Quiet, man.
You have a
well, I think
specific.
it's something to think about is where are we at the, when do you
It's
reach the
true,
point where
yeah.
you need another
think it's a great
policeman
50 unit
in
right
your
there.
population,
go.
when you need another fire truck, when you need another road crew member, a new road, you know,
gotta have
just
yard
those things,
sales, get rid of the
those things
inventory.
sneak up on you and
Yeah.
you think you're making this money and broadening the tax base, and then you end up
Had it
having
this
to buy a
weekend.
fire
but
engine.
that's-
Yeah,
Right. No, I understand.
So when you get to the town, all the costs of
It's
growth
too
should
bad.
really accrue to the people who
Town is landlocked.
are doing the
basically.
growing.
I mean,
If we have to widen a road
what
at our
hurts the
expense
town.
because
Yeah.
of a
Oh, I know.
development, that I
Yeah.
think has to enter into the equation.
Yep.
Why is that necessarily our expense?
Well, it doesn't have to be. That's what I'm saying. We want to avoid that
Walmart
kind of
there
a
and
thing.
everything.
If there's a cost,
Well,
if you have a developer come in and subdivide a
99
10-acre
restaurant.
lot and wants to build houses in there, and it's going to
Kentucky Fried
add,
Chicken.
10 or 20
Oh, yeah.
cars
Put
to the
'em all
road, and road standards call for doing something, who pays for that?
So that's where really well-written subdivision regulations
Right?
could come into play.
Beehive would be
That's-
running for chicken.
That's what I'm getting at.
well, they should also be chipping in on the sewer plant upgrades,
Oh, they would have to pay for the whole
you
thing.
know?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
And
Their
then
fair
we
share,
wonder
and
why
if
no
there's-
development happens.
Well, I think that's in any building like that. That
Yeah, I
the,
mean,
the,
I live in
the
the land of
contractor is,
subdivisions.
yeah, they're responsible for that.
Yeah,
That's
all
what
of
the
our,
debt
like our
service-
neighborhoods down here, all the subdivisions, they have, the
Yeah.
state tells them what roadway improvements they have to make. They have to put in
Yep.
water, they have to put in sewer, they have to put in all the conduit for fiber,
That's right.
power. All that gets put in by the developer.
Yep.
And I don't know if we're gonna have that level of development in Island
I
Pond
doubt it.
in our lifetime.
I doubt it.
But if you had Act 250 exemption for them, it might sweeten the deal a little bit if they had to
Yes.
foot bill for all
Oh,
these other
absolutely.
things.
Act 250 is a big expensive
So.
thing.
I mean,
um,
I think well, if we could get a developer that came in and added 10 units at one time, I think that would be a huge development.
It would be. It would
Sure.
be.
Sure. And I think, in most cases, we probably are talking about gradual incremental infill and what they
Right.
often call gentle infill. But I think it makes sense to map where the potential is. So do you agree that like maybe the next logical step is to come up with a map of the downtown and maybe the immediate joining areas and just identify areas that could be entirely redeveloped or subdivided to add additional development?
I think that would be great. And I think it would be great for the town to have that. If somebody comes calling and somebody comes knocking,
Yep.
we'd like to come to town. We'd
Yeah.
like to do development, but we don't know what's there.
Yeah.
It's always great for us to say, well, you could look on Railroad Street. Well, but is that a reality? If we actually have something to back that up, that, okay, we've identified, these are properties that would probably meet your needs.
Yeah.
I think that would help a lot when it comes to people, because people do come knocking on town's doors.
I agree.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
All right. So I will get with one of our mapping people and then I'd like to take this back with me too and I've been taking annotations on it and I want to share some of that feedback with Liam and just get his take on it too. So I'm going to steal the map back from you.
That's okay. I don't have to hang it back up again because it was a nightmare on the thing I had to hang it on.
Yeah.
If we don't get it back, we'll go gunning for you.
There you go. Right.
Okay.
Right.
That's all I have.
All right. Thank you, Allison.
Thank you.
Thank- Very informative.
So
So can I ask,
we-
did somebody pick up the flyers and stuff for the survey? that were printed out and left there in town hall. There's all the surveys were there and all of the flyers were printed out there.
Didn't know they were even here.
I haven't seen them, but I see a stack of papers here. I don't know if that's what it is.
Because those, if they don't get put around town, they're kind of pointless.
I keep checking to see if anybody
Yeah,
has
it's right
entered
here.
anything.
They're right here.
And so the postcards should go out tonight.
I thought it was just to hold the fan up.
And we did have to, I sent you all an email on it, but we did have to pay more in postage because it was just a nightmare. But it turned out to only be about $245, not $355. So,
You want to distribute some? No.
and I would leave a stack of the surveys with
Just
Teresa,
put 'em at the
but like
library.
the flyers are the important ones,
I won't
really.
need this, but where else do you want me to put them so I don't break their?
Okay, so we got,
Store,
you
grocery
probably-
store.
I'll bring some to my store. You
Yep.
said you were gonna distribute some.
Yep.
I'll come up and get a few tomorrow morning and take down to the food shelf with me.
Drop some off at
I was gonna say
Pierre's.
you should take some to the food shelf, Billy. I would think that would be a good place to get some of the people in town.
Yeah,
Here,
I'll pick them up in the morning because I want to go down to the food shelf now.
I'm gonna take these.
Yeah.
Store, yeah.
And no
Put some
filling those
flyers
out
for the
yourself,
police.
Bill.
What's that? Oh,
Billy, no filling those out all by yourself.
I'll try not to.
so, and this is,
Use different color pens.
Right, left-handed,
yeah,
right,
left and
Left
right.
hand, yeah.
right-handed with my toes. all
Nobody
back.
wants to
Yeah.
do them online.
And so we will
Okay.
also be getting next week, we should probably get about 800 postcards that we can just use to hand out because they're the extras. We had to buy postcards in quantities of 1,000. So, and we had like 1,200. So we have 800 extras that they're just shipping to us. They won't have any name or anything on them, but so we can just kind of leave those around town at the grocery store and everything. I think that they're good. They have the QR code for people to scan or call Annie. Lucky her.
Far away, it looks pretty nice. Huh?
Oh, okay. It's from the other direction, so
Yes, so.
Catholic congregation, Episcopalian.
And the library will take them back. These,
Yeah, sure, we can, yeah.
okay.
The library or the town clerk's office, I think, is where we set it online if they
Yeah.
can drop them off.
Okay. I just want to know and make sure, so when I tell somebody, I'm telling them right.
And
We could
Katie,
even,
we
if
should
we're not open,
probably
we could
do
drop
a
them in our
post
box.
For these,
Yeah, we're gonna go. with them.
I actually,
Katie, can you add that to the town website and the Facebook page and all that good stuff when you get a chance this week?
Yuppers.
could make a box and let them slide them in down there, but because I don't
Well, I
want
was
to
thinking
be,
if we're not open, they could just drop them in our book return too,
yeah.
if we're closed, but yeah, either way.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess we need to approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes
Second.
as
All
they
in
were.
favor?
approved.
Aye.
Any other business?
Nope.
Hallelujah. Okay, I need a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn. Let's get out of here.
Everyone beat me
Second.
to it.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
See you guys all later.
Yeah.
See ya, thank you.
Mike?
Good night.
Hold on,
Can you
hold on.
let me know?
Let me stop the recording. Hold on.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna ask you. Let me know